Hello, everybody. I got the microphone right tonight. Hi, Morgan and Matt. How are you guys? I have a little bit of a sore throat starting again, so I'm hoping it's nothing. I got my chamomile tea here, and the kiddos are all home. I just got the baby to bed, so see how this goes. Hopefully she won't wake up. Let's wait for some people. There's already 9 on. Wow. Sorry I missed last week. I came down with strep throat. If you did not know, watch my video about how to cure strep throat. Morgan actually started coming down with it as well. And she used my method, at least the oregano oil, and she got rid of it. So yay, Morgan. It really does work. I did want to throw a disclaimer in there, though. I did not mention enough on the video about how oregano oil is very strong and very potent. So be super careful if you are pregnant. I wouldn't even use it if you were pregnant because it can bring on your cycle. So that is one of the methods that it uses. So I steer clear when I'm pregnant. I do not take it when I'm pregnant. When I'm newly nursing, I also do not take it because it can affect your milk supply. But since Kelly is almost 11 months old and I'm just nursing her a few times a day, doesn't really matter. So hi, Amy. It's like we got all Liberty. We got like tons of Liberty people here. Morgan and Matt, Gina used to be at Liberty. And we have Sarah and Amy. So it's like mainly Liberty people. That's funny. Okay. So I hope you guys came with your questions because there's a Verity lady. Hi, Irene. Saved by Grace. Sarah said, I'm just suffering through sicknesses instead of using the oregano oil. Yeah, you got to just suffer through when you're pregnant. So, hi, Ashley and Mrs. P. Okay, so I need all of you to start asking questions because, once again, this is kind of on the fly. My life has been like seriously nutso lately. My piano academy is going super well. But because it's going super well, it just adds a lot more to my life. And, the busyness is crazy. I'm teaching upwards of 15 to 16 hours a week now, more than I'm taught at the academy. So it's nice because I can do it all from my home while I'm homeschooling and all that, but it does add a lot more craziness to my life. So usually I have the weekends free, but then this weekend was insane. We had a kids' Christmas party on Friday. Then we had our main Christmas dinner, and that requires weeks of prep, from buying all the decorations to just setting up and the taking down, all the hours that go into play practice. Our kids did a play. So it requires hours and hours and hours of preparation. But that's all behind me now. So now I got my Christmas tree up. It hasn't started. I still have more to get. And now I can just enjoy the rest of the holiday season. So hopefully I will be more on track with Gently Led Sisters. Last week I was in the throes of misery, so I was not able to do the show. So, hello, Wendy and Laura Beth, Pampa. Yeah, I feel like almost everyone in our church got some kind of sickness this year. It was going around really, really badly. So, but start giving your questions. I had another topic I was going to talk about tonight. I just did not get around to actually doing the outline for it. But I can still talk about it a little bit while I'm waiting for people that get on here with any questions. Yeah, go ahead and tell me what church y'all are from. Y'all sound like my best friend Erica now. FWBCLA, someone said. Of course, leave it to Morgan to do a question I've never even thought of before. I've been told that babies grow up while in heaven. Any thoughts? I don't think they'll grow up because isn't growing up a sign of aging? And we don't age in heaven. I have heard an interesting thought that babies aren't babies. They're like adults. If they die here on earth, when they get to heaven, they're adults. But I don't think that's just something that's not really talked about in the Bible. So I don't think there's any clear-cut answer for that. I think they would grow up because that would be aging. And aging is a sign of impending death. And there's no aging or death in heaven. So I highly doubt they grow up in heaven. Ooh, someone asked, Joy asked, what do you think about breastfeeding covered versus uncovered in public? You had to ask that controversial question, didn't you? Now, I will say that I have best friends that disagree with me on this subject. And I have well-known best friends that disagree with me on this subject, and that is perfectly fine, and that's perfectly okay. You are all entitled to your own opinions and standards when it comes to this topic in and of itself. I I really do. I think that women can breastfeed uncovered in a very modest way. I believe that a lot of times a cover does bring extra attention. You know, a lot of times people might just think your baby's laying there just asleep, not even know. You can do it discreetly. I'm actually wearing a nursing shirt that is very, very discreet, has panels on the side, and then a panel that comes over. And this would be very discreet to nurse in public. But for me, I don't nurse uncovered in public. That's a personal preference. Especially as my babies get older, they tend to flail around a lot. And for me, I grew up in a very modest household, being taught that certain areas of our body should be covered. And for me personally, I would be very uncomfortable if I ever showed any skin in that area, if I ever flashed someone by accident. So I do put a cover on when I'm in public. Now, I have nursed in my van before. I nurse my van a lot, and I don't nurse covered there. I don't nurse covered at home. I can do it very discreetly, even though, I have older kids and things. I can do it very discreetly at home. And my baby Kelly actually hates being covered. So for that reason, I've done most of my nursing in public. I will try to find a nursing room. I will try to find a dressing room, or I will go into my van in public because she hates the cover. So at home, I tend to go now into a closed room because she's so distracted by everything. She's just looking around. I have been going into my husband's office just because she hates being covered. Now, if you have different opinions about that, that's fine. I would go off of what your husband prefers, and I would also go off your own personal, feelings about it. If you are able to breastfeed discreetly public and your husband is fine with it, then by all means go for it. So that's just a personal preference. And there's different areas of thought when it comes to this. And that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions. So Jasmine said, any tips on motherhood moving to 2 kids under 2? Buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. It's going to be crazy. I had 2 children under 2. My oldest was 12. My oldest was 12 and a half months when my second was born. They only missed being Irish twins by a few weeks. My oldest was only 4 months old when I got pregnant with my second. And it was crazy. When it's 2 for me wasn't the hardest. It was when I went to 3 that were 3 and under. That was really, really intense for me. That was a very intense part of my life. Ask my kids, and they will tell you that I refer to that as the dark hole in my life because I don't remember anything. My third baby was one of my toughest. In fact, Kelly's a lot like her, but now I have help. When Abby was a baby, I did not have much help. I mean, my husband has always been a hard worker to provide for our family. We started having kids 9 months after we got married. So we've always had medical bills. We've always had diapers and things like that, expenses. So he had to work a lot. He's worked 2 jobs most of our married life. So he would help when he could. When they were younger, one of the things that he really helped with was bathing them. And he helped get them ready for bed and put them to bed. He would always pray with them, tell them a story, get them to bed. And that was huge because I would take that half hour or whatever it was and just kind of decompress from the day. And also we had a very early bedtime, 7:00, and we were very strict about their bedtime because we needed that time alone. And he would work really, really early. He's always worked really early, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. I think when he worked in Spring Valley, it was more like 6, maybe it was earlier, but we only would have a couple hours after the kids went to bed where we would be able to have time together. So we were really, really picky about putting the kids to bed and sticking to bedtime routine and things like that. Obviously, church days would throw that off, but any other time, we were home, we would put them to bed really, really early. So, yeah, just don't sweat the small stuff. Learn that your house is going to have to wait. They're only little for a season. It is a hard season, but they do some of the cutest things too. Some of the funniest stories that we have are from when our kids were really, really little. And some of the best memories we have are from when our kids were really, really little. So, just try not to be a perfectionist. This was a hard lesson for me to learn. I was too hard on my little kids. And if I could go back and redo it, I would do it differently. Obviously, I'm older now and wiser. I'm, almost 40 versus just 20 when I started having them. So I've got almost 20 years of experience under my belt. So I would go back and I would just learn to relax a little, have more fun with them, play with them more, let the housework wait. That's my biggest advice for that. So thanks, Irene. Let's see. Got Jennifer here from FWBC and Jasmine from Sure Foundation, Wendy from Open Door Baptist Church in Pennsylvania, Shield of Faith Baptist Church. Suggestions on what to do if a pediatrician bullies you about not vaccinating. I would find a new pediatrician. That's just my personal preference. I have switched doctors quite a bit. I was actually going to a really, really young doctor. My OBGYN, she quit like a month before I gave birth to Kelly. I had one visit with another doctor who was super young, right out of medical school, and I just did not have, I had a horrible feeling about it. Horrible gut feeling. Go with your gut. So I actually switched. I got a letter in the mail saying that they had just hired a new midwife on at the hospital. So I was super excited. So even though I had already signed on with the other one, I went ahead and switched. So I definitely would not go to a pediatrician that bullied me about it all the time. The one that I go to is really good about it. He does not give me any problems at all. Sometimes they'll ask, so are you going to get the kids vaccinated? And I just say no. So he does not give me any problems about it at all. So if I went to one that just made me feel like dirt, if I went to one that was always bullying me about it, then I definitely would switch. Tommy, can you try to be quiet, please? I can hear you in the background. You need to let them know that you are the parent and you make the final decision. I have actually told my pediatrician before, I appreciate the fact that you do allow me as the parent to make my decisions about this matter of vaccination. And he told me, well, I just think of myself as a father figure. A dad will tell their kid, careful if you climb that tree, you're going to fall down and get hurt. But then I'll let them climb the tree. And then if they fall down and get hurt, then, it's the kid's fault. So he was basically telling me, he was warning me against not vaccinating. But if I went ahead and didn't vaccinate and then my kid ended up with one of the diseases, well, it was kind of my decision. So that's what he told me. Laura said, babies will get a glorified body like any other saint. Yes, I do believe that too. You just wonder what the magic age is. Will an 8-year-old die and go as an 8-year-old, or I don't know. The idea has been thrown out maybe 33, the age Jesus was when he died. That's just a theory. To me, that almost sounds like you're getting into Ruckmanite territory where you're like throwing out weird theories with no biblical backing. No one really knows. It's not really been talked about. Hello, Rachel Perry. So let's see. Thoughts on having cable if careful what you watch. I have never had cable my entire married life. We've never had the extra money. First of all, I cannot believe how expensive cable packages are. It's crazy expensive. And we've just never had the extra income for it. But another thing that we found is even when we're at hotels or, we're traveling or something and we turn on the TV and just are flipping through the channels, we're like, this is so annoying. There are so many commercials. Even if you start trying to watch a movie, all these commercials constantly interrupt it. That drives me nuts. Now, I don't watch much. We do have we have, videos and things, and we rent videos from the library and things like that. So we do, watch movies occasionally and things, but I don't even I barely ever sit down and watch TV. I feel like I don't have time. There's other things that I would normally be doing. I'd rather read than watch something. So now if you can, I don't know. I don't like cable personally. Obviously, it's a personal decision that you're going to have to decide. And I know a lot of wives have actually written me asking me this because their husbands like having the cable. Their husbands like watching the TV. They like having the downtime in the evening. And I understand that men need that. They need to decompress and things. And maybe their husband's not very spiritual. Maybe he doesn't want to watch preaching on YouTube. Maybe he'd rather watch a movie. And so they're like, what can I do? I don't agree. I necessarily don't agree with having cable either, just because that's just a personal preference of mine. If if he ever wanted to get it, what would I do? I would definitely let him know how I feel. Tell him I don't really agree with this, but ultimately it is your decision. You're paying the bill, whatever. And then just pray about it. Just pray that God would soften his heart. Maybe God would show him that there are a lot of really raunchy, nasty shows on there, that the ads are horrible. And then I would just, try to keep my kids away from what was on. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I would do in that situation. If he was adamant that the kids watch a certain show that you didn't agree with, then it's always better. I think you fighting with him over it and being a nag about it would cause more harm than allowing your children to watch it, since your husband is supposed to have the final say. I have gotten that question before too. So that's just throwing that out. Let's see. Shara, tips for dealing with doctors when having your first baby. Well, your first baby is harder because they kind of treat you very like you're incompetent. I remember with my sister-in-law, they were leaving the hospital. It was their first one. And the nurses were just like, now don't forget, go feed that baby. And she's thinking, what do you think I am? Do you think I'm an idiot? Of course I'm going to go feed the baby. And I remember with our first, we had they brought in this old TV. Do you remember those rollers? Like if you were in public school, I wasn't in public school, but I remember seeing this, my friends talking about it that were in public school. They would have those big, stands on rollers with the TV and the VCR, and they'd roll it into the room and you'd pop a tape in. Well, with my first one, they did that. They rolled in the TV. They had breastfeeding videos. They had videos about, I don't know, vaccinations, all this different stuff they wanted us to watch. And we had to watch it as first-time parents. So we did. And my husband didn't. He hates stuff like that, but I did. I watched it all and signed the paper saying that I watched it. Just try to be patient with them, but try to be firm. Let them know that you have been researching, you've been reading about it, you've been talking to a lot of moms that have babies, and it's your first time doing it, but you are confident and you think you'll do fine, because doctors will treat you sometimes like you're just incompetent and don't know what you're doing. And it's really, really annoying. But I know with my first two, he was having problems nursing at the beginning because he was born a month early and he was jaundiced. And so he was super, super sleepy and lethargic. And they were all upset that he wasn't nursing. I was trying to pump colostrum. They were trying to give it to him in a syringe. And they were kind of hinting at the fact that they wanted him to have formula. Now, I knew that eventually he was going to eat. He was going to be fine. He hadn't lost much weight. I knew he was going to be fine. So I told him, no, I don't want him having formula, especially bottles, because a lot of times that can confuse them when it comes to nursing. He was already having problems with his latch. And I remember they were freaking out one time in the nursery trying to get him to take some of the colostrum in a syringe. And there was a bottle of formula sitting there. And my husband stood there with his arms crossed, just kind of staring him down. And he said, he just wanted them to know that he was there and he was watching, and they better not try slipping him any formula or anything like that. And they didn't. And you know what? Eventually Tommy started eating. He was fine. He gained weight. He got over the jaundice. So It was all fine. Laura Beth asked, any tips on breastfeeding while pregnant? I'm 17 weeks with an almost 1-year-old. I have not really ever. Now, when my oldest was 4 months, like I said, I did get pregnant when he was 4 months old, doing the whole breastfeeding thing, eating on demand, all that. But it affected my milk pretty good. So, if you can breastfeed while you are pregnant, kudos to you. I would just, be careful if it causes cramping. One of my friends cannot breastfeed with a lot of her, she's had to stop when she gets pregnant because it causes cramping. And so just watch out for that. But if you're 17 weeks, you're probably you're probably past that point. So I have heard of women tandem breastfeeding. I don't know if I would ever do that. My babies tend to kind of self-wean around 12 to 15 months. So I've never tandem breastfed. I've never really even breastfed a baby, past the time or when I've been pregnant ever, because like I said, it was affecting my milk pretty badly when I got pregnant. The pregnancy hormones were. So I actually stopped nursing really early with my oldest. And I wish I would have gone longer because I was a young mom, and I didn't know better. But he had a lot of health problems. My oldest had a lot of health problems. So because of that, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have gone longer. But I actually stopped around 7 or 8 months, I think, with him and then put him on formula. So, but then this will be my 4th baby in a row that have gone past a year and they've never even had formula. So I'm glad for that. So let's see. Jasmine said Beth will be 15 months by the time the next baby gets here. That's still pretty close though. So thanks. I think my tree is pretty. What are some tips to prepare to be a housewife? Wendy asked. Well, read lots of books. Cook. Get to be a good cook. Learn to bake. Learn to budget. If you're a single woman especially, learn to budget your money. Learn to spend wisely. Learn to not be a frivolous spender, because spending is one of the biggest things as wives that we can drive our husbands into the ground with. So you have to be really careful with your spending. Definitely. So be aware of that. I would say learn to be content, learn to be happy, even in a single state. Learn to be happy and content, because if you learn to be happy and content now, it's going to help when you're a housewife. There's going to be a lot of things that you have to go through. Being newly married, being on a budget, where you're going to have to learn to be content. Maybe you're going to, not make much money. You're going to have to really stretch your dollar. You're going to have to be home a lot while your husband is working, providing. So learn now to be content. That is my number one tip to any single lady, especially. So, well, that's cool. Look at that. Jasmine and Laura Beth have the same due date. That's pretty cool. What is your advice on dating as a young adult? This is actually something I feel qualified in giving, because I did this and I feel like I did it the right way. And I like the results of the way that my husband and I did it. I would say accountability is the number one thing. You need accountability. I would not date unchaperoned. I would always date with a chaperone. Guard your heart. I would be careful. I would obviously not do anything physical. I would save everything physical past a hug for when you are married. So I would definitely say don't do physical things. It's going to make your honeymoon really exciting if you stick to that. Believe me on this. Trust me on this. And it's really fun to just grow old together and learn everything about the physical relationship together. It's a really special thing when that happens. It doesn't happen very often, but it will make you have a very, very deep bond. So, but yeah, as a young adult, I would just, guard your heart. Do not do anything physical. and always have a chaperone. I really would. Um, Obviously, you're going to still have times to talk in private on the phone or texting or whatever. But when you're actually out on a date, it's unwise to just throw two hormonal young adults together and expect them to not fornicate or not, even just cross the line with the physical stuff. So definitely always have a chaperone. That's my advice. And that's what my husband and I did. We saved our first kiss was after we were pronounced husband and wife. We always had an annoying little sister or something with us. We went on dates with our parents. A lot of times they would just sit at another table in the restaurant, but we were in the car with our parents and things. We didn't like go parking or anything like that. So let me see. Okay, I don't want to skip anything here. Ooh, I am like so far behind in chat. Let's see. Do you bed, share, or breast sleep? If so, how and when do you transition them out of your bed? I did. I don't usually. I did with Kelly because she is my most high maintenance baby and I could not get any sleep unless she was curled right next to me. I just transitioned her into her own bed at 10 months old. So just about a month and a half ago, 10 and a half months old. So she pretty much was in my bed with me up until that point. The reason that I did was because I'm almost 40 and my body is literally falling apart. So my back was killing me, my hips were killing me, my neck was killing me from the position that I was laying. And I'm like, I'm falling apart. I can't do this anymore. So I slowly transitioned her into her own bed. But she does wake up. We go in spurts. She'll have a few really good days where she'll sleep 8 hours. But then this past week she was sick. So she was back to waking up 3 times a night to nurse. And so I would just nurse her and then put her back in her bed, in her pack and play because my back, I couldn't take that anymore. But as far as the transition, I always leave them in my room in their pack and play until now. She actually is in my daughter's room now. But when I had younger kids, obviously that couldn't bring the baby to me. I would keep them in my room kind of right by my bed till a year old. And then I would transition them over into their own room. So I like being able to hear them breathe. And as moms, how that is. So yeah, it was usually about over a year when I would transition them into their own bed, into their own room. So that's what I did. I know it's different from everyone. If your back can handle it and your neck can handle it, do it by all means. As long as your husband's okay. I always liked kind of having her curled up next to me. I liked being able to hear her breathe all night and things like that. So she was my first that actually co-slept. Now the other ones, when I would nurse them at night, a lot of times I would fall asleep. So I was unintentionally bed sharing. But it was just because I nurse laying down at night a lot. And in the middle of the night, I nurse laying down. So I just happened to fall asleep, but it wasn't intentional. So Shara said, if my doc tries to push the vitamin K shot on my baby, may look into midwife. It's possible to change even later. Thankfully, main doc doesn't push it, but does warn. That's good. If they don't push it, that's great. I know I've been hearing more and more stories about doctors in hospitals with parents that are refusing the vitamin K, calling CPS and having the baby being taken away from them because they won't give them vitamin K. So just be aware of whatever your hospital pushes. And there are ways around that as far as they will approve drops, vitamin K drops, which are a lot less potent than the actual vitamin K shot. So it's a lot less concentrated. And it's not like other shots where they have like the aborted fetal matter in it and things like that. Now, the vitamin K does still come with a black box warning. So it does have potential side effects. So look into that, bring that up to your doctor, and then also ask if you could do vitamin K drops. And vitamin K drops are actually supposed to be given in 3 doses. So you could just give 1 dose at the hospital so that they see and then not even give them anymore. So that's something to think about too. Kelly asked, how are you keeping Kelly from running off with and unwrapping the presents under the tree? It's not easy. We have to keep telling her no. She's done really good. Like today, she didn't really go for it. Now, when I first put him under there a couple days ago, she kept trying and we just kept saying no, turning her around and, like distracting her and sending her another way. So maybe she's gotten the hint. I don't know. Yeah, so let's see. Oh man, I keep on going past these really, really quickly. Kelly said, the first baby was tough for me. The doctors were so condescending to us and lectured us on circumcision vaccines. By baby 7 and 8, the docs just assumed I'm a crazy person who doesn't want medical intervention, birth control, or vaccines. They didn't bug me. Exactly. And that's how it was with me my last few babies. Also, a written birth plan, not written, but in the computer. In my hospital, we do a birth plan. And so I sat with my midwife and I went over every little thing. I said, I put it in my notes. I did not want to be asked about pain intervention. If I wanted pain meds, I would ask. No one ever said one thing about it. Even after I had the baby, nothing. I said I did not want intervention. I wanted to be able to move around as far as monitoring. We could monitor occasionally, but I wanted to be free to move around. Now, this was kind of a non-issue with me because I had her so quickly. Once they broke my water, I was at a 5 or 6. They broke my water at between 9 and 9:30, and she was born by 10:15. So it was crazy. I didn't even want to move around. I was in so much agony at that point. As soon as they broke my water, I was done. But I had everything in there. I said absolutely no vaccines. I didn't want the hepatitis. I didn't want the eye drops, which they actually didn't pressure me about that. I had everything written in my birth plan. So try to get a written birth plan. My hospital was great with going along exactly with my needs. I said I wanted her with me. She was with me almost 100% of the time I was there, with the exception of when they took her for a hearing test. So that was the only exception. So Jessica said, I can't breastfeed in my 3rd trimester because I have a history of preterm labor. I keep skipping through really, really quickly. So let's see. Yeah, some women have that problem. So I would just be aware of that, definitely. Joy said, I like the book Created to Be His Helpmeet. That had some good points in it, but there were some parts I did not agree with, like when she's telling you to stay with someone who's abusing you and hitting you. I do not agree with that at all. So I still do not believe in divorce, but I do believe in separation. So if you are being abused and you are being hit around and you or your children are in danger, I believe in kicking the bum out and being separated from him. So, you know what? Maybe you don't agree with it, and that's fine, but that's my opinion on it. So Jessica said, find a hobby to keep you busy as well. I'm assuming if you are a single girl. Safe auto insurance, is it insured? My tree. No. What advice can you give? What? What advice can you give to be more knowledgeable? I would definitely just tell you that learning never ends. You can always learn. I always learn. I love to learn. I love to research. Read. You need to read lots of books. You need to read lots of good books. Ask for recommendations for books. Use your library. Your library is an invaluable resource. I'm constantly reading. I am a type A personality, and I am always trying to better myself, better my skills, better hone my skills, get better at what I do. So I'm always trying to learn, trying to do better at what I do, whether that's playing the flute, whether that's playing the piano, whether that's public speaking, whether that's writing. Any skill that I have, I try to gain more knowledge. So I will read books on how to be a better writer. I will read books about or blogs about playing the piano. I will listen to videos from other pianists explaining how they do things. And I'll get tips from them. I'll try to implement the tips I have from them. I will read books on how to be a better public speaker. I will read books on just reading. That's the best way to get knowledge. If you are more of an auditory learner, get some audiobooks, listen to audiobooks, listen to YouTube videos while you're doing stuff, but always try to be reading. That's my biggest tip. So yeah, like Jessica said, reading documentaries, study different topics, and of course, keep reading your Bible. Shara asked, anyone have rib pain front and back below breast with pregnancy? I'm 25 to 26 weeks and it gets unbearable. Laying down seems to help. Back issues don't have. Rib pain? If you have rib pain now, when you're 40 weeks, it's going to be really bad because that baby's going to stretch you out. I have more like round ligament pain than rib pain. I don't have much rib pain. So I'm sorry you're going through that. Definitely. Joy said this kind of thing makes me want to have my baby at home just to avoid all that. It might come to that eventually with the way things are going. And I think the whole vaccination thing that they're pushing, I really think that's headed to the mark of the beast as well. Because think about it, the mark of the beast is probably going to be an implant or some type of injection. So I really think it's leading up to that. I personally have never given birth at home, and I really don't want to. I have not had any problems in the hospital ever. And I've always had the respect of the medical staff, and they've always treated me well, even though I do things differently. Actually, they kind of enjoy when I'm in labor because they said that with the medicines available today, only about 10% of women even have births without epidurals. So they kind of like seeing a non-medicated birth because they don't get to see it very often. They said about 85 to 90% of women have medicated births now. So let's see. Kristen said, I get rib pain. I wish I knew what to do about it. Webster certified chiropractor sort of help. Abby? I hear the baby. She woke up. Just see if you can get her calmed down. If not, I can take her. Ashley asks, for Christmas, do you budget each year? I am good with our budget, but for Christmas, I tend to oversee because I love to get gifts. We get a Christmas bonus, so that's kind of our budget. In years past, we would set aside a little bit, like $1,000 of our tax return money, and we would use that. But the last few years, we've gotten a Christmas budget, so that's it. I try to spend the same amount on each kid. I was just figuring out today, actually, I was sitting down and figuring out how much I had to spend on each kid. We also use some of that Christmas money for, we do like a Peoria Christmas trip every year. That goes towards it. So we spend it on presents, but we also spend it on memories as well. So let's see. Any survival tips? But yes, I definitely would budget for Christmas. Let me go back to that one more time. Throw one more thought in here. I've said it before, but you got to remember that Christmas is the same every single year. It's always on December 25th. So prepare for it. Don't go into debt for it. That's one of my biggest tips. Don't be paying off the entire year, for the gifts that you bought for one day. Teach your kids that it's okay to just have 1 or 2, 3 presents. My kids are probably going to get about 3 or 4 presents. I'm not doing any electronics this year. I'm trying to stay away from that. I want to do more meaningful gifts this year. Maybe, as far as like things that they can make, really good board games that they can play, instruments that they can learn. That's what I'm focusing on this year. Clothes, they always need clothes. So clothes that they like, clothes that they're going to wear. So I always, I'm trying to really just do I'm trying to stay away from the cheap junk this year. And I'm trying to do more meaningful, gifts that are going to last a while. I don't want to do tablets or electronics or anything like that. So that's my goal this year. But Jessica, that's a good idea. She says she usually buys gifts throughout the year if she sees something on sale the kids would like. I also get gently used toys at consignment sales. I also do too. I love consignment stores. They're great. Anne said, any survival tips on being sick with 2 littles? They're on the tail end of a cold, but thinking I may have caught some flu germs from a woman yesterday out soul winning by how awful I feel today. I'm sorry. I was thinking of this last week when I was sick because I was here with my 2 littles, which my 2 littles are my 5-year-old and my almost 1-year-old. Try to contain them. throw out all the toys that you own on the floor, lay on the couch, and try to have your 5-year-old help if she can. How old are your two littles? That's my question. I actually ended up taking a bath in a t-shirt and shorts with my two little ones because I was so cold and I just needed a bath so badly. But they were so needy, and my 11-month-old was not feeling well. She wanted a bath too when she saw me running the bath water. So you got to do what you got to do. And so I would say, definitely don't try to do any housework. I was in no state to do any type of housework. So I laid on the couch. My 5-year-old helped me a lot. She said that she was my maid. And she would bring me like my heating pad for my head. I had a horrible headache. They both took baths with me. I was fully clothed, but that was weird because then when you get out of the bath and you're running a fever and you're fully clothed, you're like sopping wet and cold, and it was horrible. It was definitely horrible. Let's see. How do you make homeschooling fun? You don't? Okay, I'm sorry, but school is school. It's not going to be fun for the kids, at least not for mine. I don't know. I've heard of these people that do unschooling, and they say it's because they want their child to have fun. But you know what? I am of the opposite mindset. I think that kids need to learn that sometimes they just got to buckle down and do stuff even when it's not fun. And for some kids, for me, growing up, I loved school. I absolutely loved school. And it was not a struggle to get me to do school. And I loved learning. But for most of my children, that is not the case. Now, I will find some subjects where they are fascinated by it and they will enjoy learning about it. But for the most part, they're like any other kid. They just don't like school that much. So I did do something different for math here, which has helped the struggle a little bit. I am doing teaching textbooks. It's an online course for math, and they have seemed to enjoy that a lot better than the math paces. So that is going better. Math is going better this year for us, definitely. So that is one area that I have improved on this year. I have also tried to find subjects that they would like, but when it all comes down to it, it's just like brushing your teeth. It's not very exciting to brush your teeth, but you just got to do it. Otherwise, your teeth are going to rot and fall out. School is not very exciting sometimes, but you just got to buckle down and do it. So, definitely try to find subjects that interest your child. If your child is my kids are just so used to the way that the ACE paces are set up, I've tried to do other methods, like we all do unit studies, and they seem to really buck at it. They don't like it as much. But maybe your child does like unit studies, and that's something that you can do with them. Get out of here with the chips. She's bringing chips in to eat it. Maybe that's something that they'll have more fun with and you can do with them. I tend to enjoy that type of thing, but most of my kids do not. So, okay. Yes, I do. Man, you guys are really asking a lot of questions. I'm missing a lot of them. Okay. I do still use ACE, and I do supplement with any other curriculum. Yes, I do. Abby's doing physical science through Rebecca right now. I was supplementing. We did a unit study at the beginning of the year with science and history, which I liked a lot, and I was learning right along with the kids. But it just got to where the kids were telling me they preferred ACE better, where they can just sit on their own and do their 5 pages a day in their subject. So we went back to that the second half of the year. They do teaching textbooks for math, and then Lana is learning phonics and how to read with all of them. Someone asked my niece's name, and they retracted their message. I think they asked how old my kids were when I potty trained. I don't know if that's Chinese. Some Asian language, I think. My kids are 2 or right before they turn 2, I potty train them, and they're usually potty trained within out.
I can want to put camera.
No, go. Not in here. Go. I think she just likes trying to be on the camera every week.
No, I don't.
That's my 5-year-old. They are always now. Lana was my earliest. She was actually about 22 months when I potty trained her because she learned very, very early what the potty was. Because when they start on solids, they get to where sometimes they have a hard time going. So I would sit her on the potty when she would, and she learned that way. And it's the same way with Kelly. Kelly, when you sit her up there now, she knows what it's for. So I think she's going to be another early learner. They're about 22 to 24 months when I potty train them. And what I basically do is I spend a week at home and I just leave them in underwear and they figure it out. So, and then I've never had a bedwetter. And six kids so far that are potty trained, I've never had a bedwetter. So let's hopefully keep that trend going. Definitely. Anne said, your kids are 2 and 7 months. That is tough. I'm sorry. Just try to ride it out. Try to ride it out. It's going to be hard. How do I arrange Christmas gifts per child? Kirsten asked. I feel like I want things to be for everyone, but I'm worried they will fight over who opens each thing. I also worry my girls will be jealous if they each get something different. I try to do, I do a couple things that are joint gifts, and they're like games, board games and things like that. Gifts, and I just try to do the same amount. I try to spend the same amount per child, which is usually about, I don't know, right around 125 per child. And I try to get them something they want, something they need, and then something that they can do or have fun with, like a craft or a board game, something like that. I do most of the time try to get them something to read too. I've ordered a couple things like that this year. So, that could, and something to do could be like a puzzle, like for Lana, something they want. That's usually something like a My Life doll or a dollhouse set or something. My girls play with those like plastic dollhouse things that you fold out with the little people. They really, really, really like those. So, that's kind of how I arrange the Christmas gifts. Try to keep it, the politics of it. I try to keep it fair across the board. So definitely. Joy said to throw in some arts and crafts, singing, music, creative things here and there. You got to do stuff that they, that they like. But when it comes to just the 5 R's, you just gotta book around and do it. So definitely. I have some kids that are more artsy, and then I have some that are musical, and I don't really count that as school though. I just count that as living. So that's not really part of my schoolwork. We do all that stuff, but I wouldn't consider that schoolwork. So Jessica said, I always have my kids open the gift together if it's for them. Yeah, I do too. Sarah said, my mom did unit studies off and on, and we love them. I wish my kids loved them because I love them. Do I have kids who are picky eaters? Yes, I do. I have one, Jason, my second boy. All my other kids will pretty much eat everything. Abby will not eat. She doesn't like cheese. Now, I want to say Abby's picky. Abby has stomach issues. So she is gluten-free, and she's been going kind of more dairy-free as well because she has stomach issues, which makes sense because, once again, I did not know all this. But when she was younger, when she was a baby, when I had her, I was probably the worst off health-wise in my entire life that I had ever been when I was pregnant with her. I had hepatitis C at the time that I got from my mom at birth. I did not know, and I think that was really at an all-time low. My at an all-time high, and my immunities were very low, and I was having chronic bladder infections. It was an awful time of my life, and I think just 3 pregnancies back to back just really killed my immune system. And so when she was younger, she had chronic ear infections, and she was on, I did not know better. If I had to go back to do it all over again, I would. She was on antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic. And I really feel that affected her gut flora. And she is my one child that has allergy issues. When she started keeping a food diary, noticed that she was getting stomach aches when she would eat gluten. So she cut out the gluten. She's been pretty much gluten-free now, oh man, quite a while, over half a year. I'm not sure exactly, but, and her stomach issues went away. So she's not technically picky. She's just got stomach issues, but Jason is picky. And how I handle it is if he does not want to eat what I make for the meal, then he scavenges for himself, whether that's a sandwich or he's learned. He is my oldest boy doesn't really cook, but Jason will make himself a pizza, or he will make himself macaroni and cheese, or, he'll scrounge around until he can find something to make, and it's just survival skills because I refuse to make different meals for each kid. I make one meal, and if they don't like it, they can eat peanut butter and jelly or whatever. So that's how we do it. My best friend has picky eaters, and she makes each one of them different things. And she's told her kids before, if they've complained, you better be glad you're not Cassie's kids, because she just makes them eat what they're eating. And if they don't eat what they're eating, then they have to find food for themselves. And they're all like, oh my goodness, that's so horrible. But I was just like, how do you make 5 different things for 5 different kids? I would lose my mind. So no, that doesn't go on in this house. Hey, it's different in every home. Okay, so do you feel like, do you feel like disciplining immediately changes your child's behavior? Sometimes I feel like I'm doing it in vain and it doesn't help correct the behavior, whining, bickering, etc. I don't feel like with some of them, I definitely don't feel like it's an immediate thing just because they're so upset that they, got spanked or whatever. But I do feel long term it helps. Sometimes it's just a bad day and you feel like that's all you do. But then I have noticed the next day goes better. So, I feel like it maybe not necessarily helps change them instantly, but it's a reminder when they think about doing it later on. Like, do I really want to repeat the session I had with mom over this? And it kind of makes them think, and it helps long term. I definitely think it helps. It helps long term. So that's what I think. It's not in vain though. And one thing you have to remember too is that your kids are not going to be perfect. There's no adult that's perfect, and your child's not going to be perfect either. So you're going for, good behavior. You don't want perfect little robots, but you want overall there to be a feeling of peace in the home, if that makes sense. You're going to have little things here and there you always have to correct because there's no one perfect. There's none righteous, no, not one, right? So there's no one's perfect, and we're all going to mess up. So you're just going for overall a feeling of peace in the home. So Grammy said, hi, Cassie, I tried your remedies for throat, the garlic, cayenne, and honey worked great. Good. I'm glad it worked. I can't believe how well that worked, actually. I was in shock. So Mrs. P said, Dorothy, we do some nature walks and outdoor stuff. Currently, I have 3 boys. I'm homeschooling. They enjoy just getting out for a little bit. Also, I take them to craft store and let them pick something. That's nice. That's a good idea. Mrs. Tuff asked, any moms doing elimination communication? I don't know what that means. I'm doing it with my 8-month-old. It's been a great experience. I'm wanting a large family. Not sure if it will be practical with multiple kids. Is that sign language? Can you explain, please? I do some sign language. Kelly knows all done, which is this. So it's really, really cute. She'll actually say it and do it. She'll say, done, done. And she'll do that. Oh, it's so cute. I'm trying to teach her more. And trying to teach. Maybe this is thank you. I'm not sure. I need to look that up again. I was taking a sign language class, and I used to know a lot of sign language words, but then I never used it. So I forgot it all. Hello, Deanna. It says my connection's unstable. Please wait while we're trying to connect you. All right. I think I'm back on. So Shara said, I need to do meal preparations for when baby comes, leftovers. Glad everyone shares good info. My biggest thing when your baby is ready for solids, do baby-led weaning. I love it. It makes your life so much easier. You don't have to worry about baby purees or lugging food around. They just eat what you eat. It's so great. I love it. So yeah, Mrs. P, that's my house rules too. My house rules are eat it or starve. Yep. Same thing here. Jessica said, I've been having a hard time with my 4-year-old being picky. If he doesn't want what I cook, he can have fruit. He's getting some better, but it's going to be a rough road. Yeah, just keep offering him the food. That's another thing I love about baby-led weaning. I feel like Kelly's not picky at all. Even at 11 months, she'll eat more than my 16-year-old will. She'll eat more than Jason does. She eats everything. So I have found that doing the baby-led weaning from the time she was really, really little, I don't know if I found anything that she won't eat. She tries everything. So I'm going to have to start wrapping this up pretty soon. The questions are still coming, but it's been almost an hour. I know I want to do the giveaway too. So let me read these last few. Okay. Avery said, I just sat at the dinner table for over an hour to make my 4-year-old finish his dinner. You know what I would do in that situation? I would just put the food up and then say, okay, well, you're not hungry, so I guess that just means you're done, so no more food. And then if they got hungry, try to offer that same food, warm it up for them. I remember one time one of my sisters, my mom or my dad or something, was adamant they were going to eat this, it was like carrots and orange juice. That's what I remember it being. I don't know. I was like 6 or 7, but that's what I remember it being, carrots and orange juice, which is just disgusting to me now. Why would my mom make something that disgusting? Anyways, I digress. But we were sitting at the table and I was always, Sarah, my sister right below me, she was always pickier than me. And I remember I would just power through it. I would just eat it. It was disgusting, but I'm like, I'm not going to sit here at the table because my parents were like, you're sitting at the table till you get up. So I just shoveled them down. I'm like, okay, I just got to eat it. So I ate it. And then I'm like, my mom's like, okay, go play, whatever. So I went and I played, and my sister sat there and sat there and sat there. And she kept gagging every time she'd take a bite, which I don't blame her because it was gross. Don't ever make carrots and orange juice. And she kept gagging, and they're like, nope, you got to eat it. You got to eat it. So finally she ate some and she puked it all up, all over the table, puked carrots and orange juice everywhere. And my mom was like, okay, you're done. So they let her go. My mom had to clean up vomit. And you know what? I don't remember my mom ever doing that again. I don't think she ever forced my sister to sit there and eat her until she was done eating your food. So I'm not big on that. I've never forced my kids to eat their food. I just tell them they can't have anything. Usually what I do, if I make a dessert, this is what helps. My kids always do this. I tell them they cannot have dessert until they finish what I gave them. They finish what I give them. Problem solved. So that's what I do. So anyways, let's see. Oh, elimination communication. That's with potty training. I'm thinking it's eliminating talking or something. Oh, that's funny. No, I've never tried that. Now my babies kind of catch on because, like I said, when they have problems going to the bathroom, then I'll put them up there, and then they understand what the toilet's for, and then it clicks with them. I've heard people doing that, but that's not for me. No. Mm-mm. Here, I thought it was sign language. Oh, that cracks me up. What do you think are some good boundaries to set with a 5-year-old? I have 3 and she's my oldest. Sometimes I feel I expect too much from her. However, I don't want to be too lenient. I'm also a type A. I don't know what boundaries to set as far as what is she doing that you don't like? Is she hitting you? What kind of boundaries do you want to set? You definitely need to set boundaries that, yeah, you're the mom and she better listen. You are the authority figure. Give me a little more information. So, a wife in our youth said elimination communication is really good for early transitioning to potty training. Okay. Sorry, I can't believe I thought it was sign language. It's not bad at all, though. Lots of worldly people do it just because it teaches your baby to hold their waist till you hold them over a proper potty. I know a few people personally do it. If that's your thing, go for it. Not mine. Thank you, Freya. I love my shirt too. It's through Milky Maw Clothing, one of my favorite nursing mother stores. So check it out. She had a 30% off code, so I got it. It's very, very cute. And look, it has a pocket. See, it's got like a little pocket there. Isn't that cute? And then it has the nursing panels on the side. So, oh, there's the free shout out. Milky Mall clothing. Really, really cute. Okay, so let me rough this up. So here we go, though. Yes, Michael Pearl is a creep. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. He's a creepy, old, dirty man. That's my thoughts on him. My mom forced my brother to eat guacamole, and same thing, throw up all over. He couldn't stand the texture. Ugh. And Kirsten said, I think baby-led weaning, offering healthy foods early is the secret to avoiding picky eating. You just have to keep offering fruits and vegetables, even if your children don't like one at first. Yeah, and Kelly has loved all vegetables. She'll eat raw broccoli, carrots. She loves carrots. She loves sweet potatoes. She loves all of that. So Jessica said, my mom made me a whole new plate when I threw up. I only had a little bit left when I threw up, but she made me eat another full plate. Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry. That's horrible. And Jessica said, I agree, Kirsten. My child and I did the baby-led weaning, which is my best eater. And thank you, Jennifer. It was just an easy hairstyle to do. So that is it for the comments. Let me go grab my phone over there plugging, and I am going to do a random number generator. And then whatever number I get, I am going to go, I'm just going to generate it. I'm going to show you all it, and then I'm going to go through the comments from the first comment up through the last. That's how it goes on my phone. From the first is on the bottom on the video, and then it goes up to the most recent. So 1 would be the number of the comment, the first comment made, up to, I don't know, I think there's like 40 some comments or something. So up into the 40 whatever comment, and then I'm going to generate the number generator, and then it's going to pick one of you that left a comment on my What If I Have No Joy During the Holidays video, and then you will get the electronic gift card. So let me go grab my phone. Over here. Here we go. All right. So let me go to my comments, and I'm on it right now. Okay, so what if I have no joy during the holiday season? I am on there. All right, go. Okay, so let me see all the comments I have on this video. There are 46 comments, okay? There are 46 comments, so I'm going to do a random number generator, 1 through 46. All right, random number generator. Let's put that in there. Minimum 1, max, let's do 46. All right, so here we go. Da, 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 da. We're going to generate it. And it is 20. I don't know if you can see it. Number 20. You are the winner. So let's go see it. Okay, number 20. All right, we're going to count up. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Angela Bedgood. So Angela Bedgood, you are the winner of the $10 electronic gift card. So yay, you, Angela. And just because it's $10 and everyone could use a little bit of Starbucks or Dunkin' when they're shopping, if you do that sort of thing, because for me, I do mainly, or Walmart.com. So if you do that sort of thing where you're old school and you go out Christmas shopping, then you could always use a $10 gift card. So next week we will do one as well. So, oh, she was watching. Awesome. Congratulations, Angela. So what was her comment? Someone asked. It was, my favorite tradition is to, so here is what you have to do this week. You have to like, and you have to click like this video, and then let's see, leave a comment telling me, so what is your favorite Christmas memory that sticks out to you when you were a kid? Not so much what tradition you do, but what is your favorite Christmas memory or your favorite Christmas or something. And I will do another drawing with Miss Sherry next week. Unfortunately, she is in Hawaii or something this week. Hawaii. You know, she's there just being tortured for the cause of Christ. So just kidding. She's in Hawaii, I think, this week. So she wasn't able to join me. And then last week, obviously, I felt horrible, but I had to cancel because I was in no condition. You would have been really scared if you would have seen me last week. So anyways, yes, the video does keep cutting out because it said my internet connection was unstable. So I'm going to end it here. And I hope you guys liked this show. Go ahead, leave a comment about your favorite Christmas memory or tradition that you have as a kid. What was your favorite Christmas? What was your favorite memory? And I will enter you into the drawing for next week. Okay, so Angela, go ahead and private message me or email me. Email at me, gentlyledsisters@gmail.com, so I can have your email address so I can send you your electronic gift card to either Starbucks or Dunkin'. Let me know which one you would prefer. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed this week, and we will see you next week, hopefully with a guest. So see you then.